So the other day I was flipped off by a 4-year-old. But, his mom did it first, so he had a pretty good excuse. Hello, my friends. It's James Brown, founder of Humans Being. And today I have a short story that illustrates, in a pretty odd way, what I think is one of the biggest real life benefits of meditation. And it starts with a little kid flipping me the bird. I was riding my bike through the Presidio, which is an old military base at the north end of San Francisco, where it meets the Golden Gate Bridge. And the roads there are very curvy. It's not like the flat linear grid of San Francisco at all. And I was coming around a curve, and this minivan that was in front of me pretty quickly started to drift into the bike lane. And so I swerved out of the way to avoid being hit and yelled, "Hey, watch out," or something probably less polite but equally urgent, and the driver snatched the vehicle back into the proper lane, zoomed ahead, and then flipped me off. But this is San Francisco. So upon exiting the Presidio, within just a couple of blocks of busy city traffic, I easily caught up with them. And as I was rolling alongside, this little boy, he must have been, 4 years old, turned and very slowly and very sweetly flipped me the bird with this sweet little smile. It was appallingly adorable. And the driver, she just sat there, sort of hands gripped on the wheel, stone-faced, not looking at all in my direction, I'm sure praying that the light would change so she could just zoom out of there. So, why did this happen? Is it because she's a bad person? No, I'm guessing not, probably not. No, I think it's probably because her tank was empty. Not her gas tank, but her tank of what legendary stress researcher Hans Selye called adaptation energy. In the 1930s and 1940s, Selye did some really groundbreaking research that helped us understand how stress, especially chronic stress, affects the way we show up in life. And the biggest insight to come out of his research was this concept of adaptation energy. And oddly, he came up with this idea because he was kind of a jerk. He had a huge temper, very volatile guy. He would fire lab assistants on a whim. He was very combative, very argumentative, and one day he was musing in his journal, right? He wasn't completely unaware of himself. And he thought, why is it that on some days my annoying lab assistant is more annoying than other days? Right? Why is it on some days the traffic on the way to my lab bothers me more than other days? It didn't make any sense to him. These were the same environmental stressors. Why didn't he have the same stress response? It's like I said, I live near the Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge doesn't have bad days on which the wind and fog bother it more. But the people who live around the bridge do. And Selye wanted to understand why. Why is it on some days we can deal and some days we can't? And he called his theory general adaptation syndrome. He said we all have a bank of this substance he called adaptation energy. And we spend out of that bank to deal with the demands of life. And we have very demanding lives. And he realized that most of the demands that are placed on us come in the form of changes in expectation. We have an idea of how the day is supposed to go, of what's supposed to happen, and it frequently doesn't go that way, which puts us in a situation in which we're forced to adapt. And when we're full of adaptation energy, then Selye said we can adapt. We can meet the ordinary demands of life with equanimity, with a sense of perspective, with creativity, inventiveness, or with just a, hey, my bad, polite apology to the cyclist we almost hit. But when we're running low on adaptation energy, or when we're running out because we've been living in ways that drain us, because we're not sleeping as much as we should, we're working through meals, we're trying to pack too much into an already packed day, when we're running around frantic, feeling on the cusp of overwhelm. Sound familiar at anyone? Well, Selye said that when we were in that depleted state, then we were simply unable, we didn't have the neurophysiological capacity to meet a demand with an appropriate response. We couldn't have an adaptive response to life. Instead, we would have a maladaptive response. Instead of interacting with a demand, we would react. We would be in that binary fight or flight mode in which we basically treat everyone like an enemy. And here's a really prosaic example. You're working away on your computer and someone you truly love, really care about, comes up and interrupts you and they say, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? And you're like, no, can't you see I'm working? I can't talk to you right now. Right? Versus, hey, can I talk to you? Oh, you know what? It'll just be a minute. I'm just working, so give me 5 minutes, okay? All right, thanks. What's the difference? The difference is not the demand being placed on me. The difference is not the interruption. The difference is my capacity to deal with the demand in an appropriate, relevant, positive way. In other words, stress makes good people behave badly. And so I think that woman was just stressed out. I think her tank was empty. Having raised 2 kids myself, I know what that feels like. And so she treated me like an enemy, and her kid learned an embarrassing lesson. So, what does this have to do with you? Well, when was the last time you ran out of gas in your car? I'm guessing a long time ago, or maybe even never, because we tend to fill up pretty regularly, and because there's this very helpful little indicator light that comes on the dashboard when we're getting close to empty. But be honest, when was the last time you lost your shit? When was the last time you had a reaction to life that wasn't representative of your best self? I'm guessing more recently, because we're frequently running low on adaptation energy. We're frequently on the cusp of overwhelm. And because there's not a little indicator light on our internal dashboard to tell us when we're in the red. That would be nice. And this is one of the biggest reasons I meditate. It's why I think everyone should meditate, especially in this crazy topsy-turvy world with stress and traffic and all the things we have to deal with. Because meditation, if approached a certain way, is a great way to top off our tanks of adaptation energy. We can sit comfortably and settle into a deeply recharging and revitalizing state of restfulness. We can launder our nervous system of some of the stress we've accumulated throughout the day, and we can come out of meditation better able to bring our best self to more of our life. At least that's how it's worked for me, and has worked for a lot of people that I've taught. Meditation is what allows me to move through life reacting in ways that I just don't have to apologize for as much. It allows me to keep my middle finger where it belongs, which is wrapped around my handlebars. All right, hope you enjoyed the story. If you'd like to check out what approaching meditation in a different way might do for you, might help you move through life with a full tank of adaptation energy, then check out this short video on flow meditation. You'll learn what it is, how it's different, how the course is structured, and if you decide to jump on board, it will be my absolute honor to share this teaching with you. And if you do decide to learn, it won't just be you on your own taking a typical online course. I offer a lot of live support along the way. There's weekly group meditations several times a week. You get a lot of one-on-one contact with me to help answer questions and overcome any obstacles. It really is a great way to learn. All right, well, that's it for now. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.